Ever walk down a dark alley feeling chills down your spine, your actions weighing heavy on your mind? That was me, on this fateful day. Imagine a silence so profound it's almost deafening. A silence broken only by the echo of your footsteps, a reminder of your solitary existence in that moment. You're carrying a burden, the weight of your deeds, a terrible thing you've done. The world around you seems oblivious, yet the consequences are as real as the cold air you're breathing. You're seeking an escape, a way out of the dead end you find yourself in. But the alley is unyielding, the darkness unforgiving. It's just you and your thoughts, each one louder than the one before, playing out like a symphony of regret. Suddenly a loud thump. It's as if the alley is responding, mirroring the chaos inside you. You turn around, your heart pounding in your chest, and there it is. A shadowy figure, standing in the cold, just as lost as you are. You recognize the figure, and your blood runs cold. It's him, the man you thought you had left behind. His face is a mask of anger and remorse, a reflection of your own inner turmoil. His voice reverberates through the alley, a chilling reminder of your past. "I told you you would end up like this!" he yells, his words echoing around you, a haunting melody of your past mistakes. Your mind is reeling. You can't believe what you're seeing, what you're hearing. The man you had killed, alive, a manifestation of your guilt. His anger, his hatred, it's palpable, a stark contrast to the cold indifference of the alley. It's a wake-up call, a realization of how desperate your situation is. You take one last look at the figure in the rearview mirror of your mind, your heart pounding with fear and regret. You know there's only one thing left to do. You have to confront your past, seek the help you need, and find a way to move forward. And then the unimaginable happened. The man I had killed stood there alive. The man's face twisted with anger and remorse, his voice choked with emotion. "I told you, you would end up like this." The shock was immediate, like a bucket of ice-cold water thrown over me. I was staring into the face of the man I thought I had left behind, buried under my misdeeds. His face, a mirror reflecting my darkest fears, was a stark reminder of the path I had chosen. A path of regret, of guilt, of actions I could never undo. My heart pounded like a drum in my chest, echoing my fear through the silence of the alley. The past was not a ghost, not a memory that could be chased away. It was real. It was standing right in front of me, every bit as tangible as the cold, damp air that filled my lungs. His voice echoed in my ears, a haunting melody of anger and remorse. Every word was a stab, a reminder of the consequences of my actions. "I told you you would end up like this." His words were the embodiment of my deepest fears. I was trapped, cornered by my past, my choices, my actions. Desperation clawed at my insides, a wild animal trying to escape the cage of my chest. I thought I had buried my past, hidden it away under layers of denial and justifications. But here it was, alive and seething with anger. It was a wake-up call, a cold, hard slap of reality. I could feel the anger, the hatred pumping through his veins, a fierce torrent that mirrored my own self-loathing. It was a mirror held up to my soul, revealing the ugly truth I'd been trying to escape. I was him, and he was me. We were two sides of the same tarnished coin. I realized just how desperate I was, and that something had to change. The words hung in the air, a solemn vow, a promise to myself. I couldn't hide anymore, couldn't run from the past. It was time to face it, to confront the man in the mirror and to start the journey towards change. Fear pounded in my chest, but I knew I had no choice. I had to confront my past. This was a moment of reckoning, a moment where I could no longer run from the shadows that haunted me. The ghostly figure of my past was a stark reminder of a path I had chosen, a path I was desperate to abandon. The cold, hard truth was that I had done a terrible thing. The weight of my actions was a burden I carried with me, a looming reminder of a past I couldn't shake off. But the more I ran, the more I realized that escaping my past wasn't the answer. It was about facing it, acknowledging it, and most importantly, learning from it. I was scared, and rightly so. The fear was a tangible, gut-wrenching sensation that twisted my insides. It was the fear of the unknown, the fear of what might happen when I confronted my past. But I knew that fear was a part of the process, a part of the journey towards redemption. I was uncertain too. Uncertainty is a tricky thing. It can paralyze you, make you question your every move. But it can also be a catalyst for change. For me, it was the latter. The uncertainty of what lay ahead was a driving force, pushing me to take a step forward, to make a decision, to change my path. But amidst the fear and uncertainty, there was also a strong sense of determination. I was determined to change my fate, to not let my past mistakes define me. I realized that I had the power to change my story, to rewrite my narrative. It was a daunting task, but it was one I was willing to undertake. I was ready to face my past, to confront the ghostly figure that haunted me. I had to start over, and this time, do it differently. This was my turning point, the moment I decided to take control of my life, to steer it in a direction that would lead me away from the dark alley and towards a path of redemption. It was a decision that required courage, determination, and above all, a willingness to change. So I turned and walked away from the creature, the representation of my past mistakes, and embarked on a journey to change my fate. This journey was not one of miles, but rather of self-discovery and transformation. I had to traverse through the valleys of self-doubt, climb the mountains of fear, and cross the rivers of regret. It was a journey that demanded everything I had, and more. It required me to look deep within myself, confront my demons, and find the strength to make peace with my past. The first steps were the hardest. Each footfall echoed with the weight of my past mistakes. There were moments when I questioned whether I could make it, when the shadows of my past loomed so large that they threatened to swallow me whole. But with each step I found a little more strength, a little more courage. I had to learn to forgive myself. I had to accept that I had made mistakes, that I had done things I wasn't proud of. But more importantly, I had to understand that these mistakes did not define me. They were part of my journey, but they were not the end of it. There were nights when the guilt and regret kept me awake, when the face of my past seemed to haunt my every moment. But I pushed through. I kept walking, because I knew that the only way to move forward was to face my past, not run from it. And with each day, with each step, I began to see changes. Small at first, almost imperceptible. But they were there. I was becoming stronger, more resilient. I was learning to love myself again, to see myself not as a monster, but as a human being capable of change, of redemption. There were moments of despair, moments when I felt like giving up. But I held on. I kept walking, because I knew that each step was a step away from my past, a step towards a better future. Each step was a struggle, but I was determined to make a change. This journey, full of twists and turns, taught me valuable lessons. Lessons that carry the weight of my past, yet point me towards the future. The first lesson was the hardest, confronting my past. It's a daunting task, like a specter in the dark, casting its long shadow on everything, but I learned that the only way to move forward was to face it, to take responsibility for my actions. The second lesson was making amends. It's a process, not an event. It's about acknowledging the wrong, expressing regret, and doing what you can to set things right. It's about owning up to your mistakes, and in the process, finding a way to forgive yourself. The third lesson was about change. Change is never easy, and it's rarely comfortable, but it's necessary. It's about breaking old patterns, challenging your beliefs, and stepping outside your comfort zone. It's about pushing yourself to become a better person, not just for yourself, but for those around you. The fourth lesson was about growth. Growth is not linear. It's full of setbacks and detours, but it's also filled with moments of joy and triumph. It's about learning to see the value in every experience, the good and the bad. It's about understanding that every challenge is an opportunity for growth. And the final lesson was about power, the power to change. We all have it within us. It's a force that can turn the course of our lives if we let it. It's about realizing that no matter how far you've fallen, how much you've messed up, you always have the power to rise again. I had done a terrible thing, but that didn't define who I was. I had the power to change, to learn from my mistakes and to grow. And so do you.